Yo, what is good, everybody? We have a full house today. Oh my God, this is a lot of fun. We have Half joining us on the live stream, and we have Jen as well. What is good, homies? Adam, how are you feeling today? Do you even understand what is going on with BRC20 native swaps?
I'm wondering, is this meme-fi, or have we moved into the realm of meme-fi? I think Jake crafted that term, man. I think we are entering the realm of meme-fi, where traditional finance is completely upended by what we value our memes at. And so the ability to buy, sell, swap, take loans against memes, this is the future, man. Here we are, bro. We're stage one.
That we absolutely are. So everyone who's on the live stream, just make sure you mute yourself right now. There was a little bit of background, but we will dive into everything here pretty shortly. Chris, what's good, bro? GM.
Yo, GM, good morning. Actually just touched down in Miami, so away from the setup today. Might be a little background noise, but excited to get into it. You guys are building some cool stuff over at Omnisat and pioneering the whole Bitcoin on DeFi movement. So stoked to get into it.
Dang, in Miami, just everyone is out having a blast. Dogfather, one of our favorite co-hosts, man. How are you feeling today? Have you given Omnisat a test run?
Hey guys, GM. Yes, of course. So I tried it out first time as well, like you, Jake, with test Bitcoin stuff. I was able to swap some for the Sats BRC20. I'm still struggling to create a liquidity pool. So I tried it 2 or 3 times. I used Jen's videos. I think I have to be a complete monkey brain not to be able to do that with these cool videos. But somehow I screwed up. So I hope I learn how to do that today.
Well,
Yeah.
One question: were you doing it on your phone or on your computer? Because I can imagine she was doing it phone based. Were you doing it on your desktop or what?
Yeah, I did that with my laptop, but I didn't figure it out. So I tried it a few times. I have some invalid things somehow. Yeah, I have to try it out again.
We do have videos for both desktop, mobile, with every single wallet. So every step of the way, we're going to make sure that you can do it by the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, everyone, make sure that you retweet the spaces that I've pinned to the top. And if you have any questions, make sure that you just go share it down below. We're going to do a full live tutorial here shortly. Before we do, give a little bit of explanation about the story. First, I want to introduce Half, man, the man behind the curtain, the lead developer of this, the man who's dedicated the last 9 months of his life to building the back end of this, bro. Give us a little bit of, your short story, and then your experience building a native L1 Bitcoin swap tool.
Sounds good. What's up, guys?
Yeah.
My name's Andrew. I'm originally from Vermont, and I like skiing, so I spent a lot of time skiing. And then I started a band called Robotic Pirate Monkey, and then we made like I don't know, like 80 songs or something, and all that's like made on the computer, obviously. So you're pretty much programming music. What is music but math, anyways? But yeah. So then I found that I was like, oh my god, I really like writing software. So I started writing software pretty much full time, like 12 years ago. I worked at Comcast for 4 or 5 of those years. And then joined my bandmate had started a software company, so I joined as a founder over there, and then we pivoted over into the Web3 space because it was extremely interesting, and we're all technologists. So yeah, I built a DEX on ETH that leveraged RenJS to help do like cross-chain swaps, which was pretty cool. And then some other stuff that we're doing at Final Workshop, we were working with what are they called? NFT Genius, and they're on Flow. So while we were there, we helped create the pack standard for Flow blockchain, which was really cool. And then let's see, we made Nakamoto.trade, which is an inscription, a peer-to-peer inscription trading tool, which is pretty cool. And in building that, I think It was probably around May. Jared hit me up. He's like, "Yo, you gotta make a website," and then he sent me the designs for Omnisat, and then ever since then we've just been hitting the keys, and we finally finished it, and it's out there on testnet. So
Finally, what was the toughest hurdle from building on Bitcoin utilizing ordinals versus building on Ethereum, which you had done previously?
it comes down to just data. When we had started building Omnisat, there wasn't a tremendous, like, the infrastructure wasn't in place. So we couldn't really build it on testnet. So I've spent like about half of Bitcoin building Omnisat, just because. So Omnisat's on testnet, but it was built on mainnet. So it's like ready to go. We could go flip the switch and deploy to mainnet and start consuming actual Bitcoin and actual BRC20s and start swapping and creating liquidity around those things. But we figured that this is probably the best route for us because it helped alleviate some of the questions we had around governance of the actual platform and the liquidity and everything like that. But I mean, really, it comes down to data. I mean, as long as you have data, it's like cash is king, data is king here on Bitcoin. So
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I mean, I pinned here to the top. We met in Vegas. From what Jen has corrected me, actually, May 12th, we met in Vegas. We rented out a house, and we really got to business. There was about 10 little degenerates, maybe 11, thinking about how we could contribute to the BRC20 ecosystem. Everyone really coming in with their own distinct background, whether you're a developer, whether you're a talking head like myself, or you're just an events expert and person extraordinaire like Jen, right? Or like we all came together, and it's been really tough, actually. I'm not gonna lie, but I think we're finally here. It looks like Bunsy's also joining us on the live stream. But Jen, you were one of the main contributors, as we discussed, about kind of the this component of it, and how. Buns, just make sure you mute your mic real quick. And if you want to join, Buns, if you want to join on Spaces too, I could bring you up just so other people can see it as well. I know it's a little bit confusing to do both. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. But Jen, you've you tried. It's okay. Jen, you have experience with governance, with Gitcoin, and all of these other experiences coming from the entertainment background. Take us through your experience of Omnisat and over the last 9 months, how you feel that this platform may change the game.
Yeah, it's crazy because I think I had no idea what I was coming over for, right? And it was like, we're doing this podcast. We want to talk about this stuff with Omnisat. And it ended up being like one of the most inspiring weekends ever. I'm obviously not smart enough as all these people to build on Bitcoin. But, just from day one, right? It's truly taken this like decentralized ethos. And I think that's something this space is so missing. And I'm always like, God, I wish, I'll read the Cypherpunk Manifesto and the Bitcoin white paper and be like, I wish I was like on the forums back then building this. And I feel like this is truly a chance for everyone in this space, right? To get involved in something that is like so core to the ethos of why this exists. I think like it's there's literally not a word to describe how amazing it's been to like watch all of you guys figure out how to solve all these problems, right? I think a lot of people, and I came from, the ETH world where you can find a tutorial and find information and documentation for everything. And then here it's like we're creating from zero, and
straight from scratch. And without further ado, Buns, man, the kind of the lead front man who's been all over the place, contributing to everything. I've seen this guy's leadership grow over the last 9 months. It's been really kind of incredible to watch. Again, same question to you, I'll present, and then we'll go through the live tutorial. Your experience leading up to Omnisat, and then over the 9 months, man, of putting team on your back. How does it feel now that testnet's finally here?
Man, yeah, that's a great question. I wish I had time to like really think about it, because like it's all really happened so fast, to be honest. But it really is cool. Like I've always been like pretty delusionally optimistic with most things, like, and that's kind of what led to this. Speaking with H, like he's kind of been a mentor of mine, teaching me a lot of uh, what blockchain technology even is fundamentally, why people use it, and I always throw ideas his way, and then he usually is like, "Nah, that's whack, that's bad." All right, maybe, and then I hit him up about BRC20s, and I was like, you know, this is this could be massive. People are now um, swapping fungible tokens on Bitcoin. And he's like, "Oh wow, fly out to Vegas." And when a seal of approval, like I really admire him and look up to him. So when he was like, "All right, let's do this," I was like, "Holy shit!" So yeah, and then from there, it's like linking up with people like yourself that have experience in the space, and then Hath just really being able to take something so simple yet extremely complicated and just think about it like, because this isn't a new idea like a swap, but there's a reason why no one else has done native BRC20 swaps. It's very difficult. Like, so Path led the way there, always finding innovations, and yeah, it's cool just to see it kind of come to life, because I think our whole team shares the ethos of like, don't talk about it, be about it. And we wanted to ensure that we could deliver on something and, you know, hopefully flip the script and like show people like, stop leading with vaporware and a token. Like, that's not how we really, I get it. We're here to make money. Like, I understand that. Like, I totally do. But there is a reason why we're here. And it's like someone like Satoshi, like this will sound cheesy as fuck, but I do believe it's like Satoshi. He released a revolutionary product, didn't have ego enough to be like, this was me. He just did it in a way that really changed the game. And that wasn't for his self benefit. Like his wallet still holds all the Bitcoin that he has. You know, so like, I guess what I'm getting at is like, it's rare to find a group of people that really align with that are down just to work on a product. And like, dude, we took no funding, and trust me, a lot of funding people hit us up, and because they knew what we were working on. And it's like, no, like we believe we can do this without it, and we did.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, I've actually had a few different DMs about asking when capital raise, when VC raise. This is a governance component. It hasn't been introduced yet to the public, but it will over time. So I think for I pinned to the top the live stream if anyone wants to follow along. I'm going to go.
Yeah, this is the one time I'd recommend people actually like
watching
go
it.
do the live. Yeah, watch the live video, right? Not to see the pretty faces, but to actually watch what the hell's going on. Because I'm excited to see how this actually works.
Yeah, so for the sake of simplicity, you know, Jen sent me some test Bitcoin. Dude, getting test Bitcoin, also an entire political system I've learned behind this. People are very serious about test Bitcoin.
Wait, should we be stacking test Bitcoin, Jen?
Okay, no, we want to be very clear. Use it when you need it, right? It is a tool that's there for builders, and you know, we need to test. We need to test at scale. When this is done, there will be Bitcoin going back to the faucets. So yeah, get what you need. And really with testing, the numbers don't matter, right? You can use a small amount of Bitcoin to test. You know, you don't need to be the testnet whale, but definitely try it out.
So Hath, have you found any, like with this test that's gone on, and I think you've had quite a bit of traction from it. Have you found any bugs or anything that were significant, or what's the deal so far?
0 bugs is perfect. Software, super easy.
Exactly, man. I can imagine.
The one thing so I had to build for our LP withdrawal. I had to build like a queuing system that is, I built it like about a day before we released this thing. So I need to spend more time we're sorting through the removal of the liquidity right now. But Jason, who's in our TG chat, or Omnisat TG chat, just ripped a withdrawal, and his withdrawal went through. But then H with the withdrawal, and it was like it failed. So it's like fuck. And so I'm, juggling a few different things right now. A couple jobs, and then obviously this. But it's definitely where I got to focus on next, I think.
Now walk us through. Maybe Bunzi is like the right person to walk it through. The idea of like a multi-sig wallet that basically holds the funds was something that was discussed. And if you don't have it fully figured out yet, that's totally fine. But if you want to get into a little bit of the detail of like how that will work, because obviously, that is like I guess the biggest risk to the protocol, as well as like the biggest point of possible centralization, right? So how are you guys looking at it now? And like, how does it look, going forward?
Yeah, I think people, first of all, need to understand what decentralization and centralized things are, because a lot of companies do a great job, like marketplaces, like they're storing those PSBTs somewhere, but we're okay with it because we trust their reputation. And even a lot of people, a decentralized contract on Ethereum, if you can't audit it personally and understand there's no backdoors, is it decentralized? Is it composable? So I don't know. I just want to preface it around that. But like the real W is like node systems and like don't trust verify. And this isn't a new technology. It's not a new concept. It's how ASIC mining and these things happen. So we're approaching it very much from like a fundamental technical standpoint of, multi-sigs exist, nodes exist. We just a matter of architecting them.
Yeah. So basically, to summarize it, on testnet right now, excuse me, there is a single wallet that is decentralization. It is testnet. We are looking and building something called TSS, which I was actually not familiar with. It's a type of a signature scheme that is quote unquote further decentralized than a multi-sig. It's like kind of like this equivalent that everybody and nobody owns the keys at the same time, at least from my understanding. And I have to attribute that to, excuse me, H Wonderland, he was in the video that I pinned to the top. He's also, one of the guys behind Pond, which has had a lot of success recently. I think about $350 million in trading volume on that platform. It's kind of this gamified competition to Uniswap. So he's had a very huge impact. He has a very dense background going back to Shapeshift with Eric Voorhees back in 2017. So he's been kind of really in this world of LP provisions since kind of its inception in 2017. So he and a handful of the other devs with Hath are working on this TSS scheme. And that, I think, is what's going to separate it really from everything else, right? Because once the governance is introduced, which maybe we'll cover this a little bit later, right, there's going to be, some form of payment to get into the governance, which then those funds are then controlled by this TSS system moving forward. But again, it's not easy. I think you heard, forget what the guy's name is from Taproot Wizards on that call. Rendall was talking about how difficult this is even to do on Bitcoin. I think on Bitcoin, there's only one version of it from what would have been told, called Frost. So we are pushing, very new and innovative ideas in multiple directions. And so this type of conversation that we're having today, these type of tutorials, I expect will only continue until kind of that whole idea is introduced and familiarized. So without further ado, I'll go on to now. We could test this. I don't know. I'll start with some of the kind of immediate conversation, and then once we get into it, maybe we'll have Andrew or Bunzi kind of explain this. So when you go onto the Omnisat page for your first time, you will be introduced with this display. It says Omnisat is a public good being built by an open community of developers with the mission of creating a more usable DeFi ecosystem directly on Bitcoin. So the meaning of this means, as the people who are here on this conversation are core contributors, there was about, I think, anywhere between 10 to 15 people who have participated in contributions towards Omnisat since its inception in May. We're releasing this as a public good, right? It is not a private company, although right now there are some aspects to it. But everyone will have an ability to participate in the governance, or you could participate in the swaps or in the LP or whatever new kind of ideas are introduced through the proposal mechanism, which is not live there. So making sure that you understand that Omnisat is not a DAO, it's a public good. There are some things that you can relate it to that exist in Ethereum or on some other chains. But again, think of this, go into this knowing that this is something completely new and novel. The only things I think from the swap module that you could, or from the swap and LP provisions that you could see that exist on Bitcoin right now, for ordinals, Unisat has something which is more of a module. It's a little bit more of a centralized solution. We're trying to take the opposite direction here to have extreme decentralization, because as we know on Bitcoin, the preference of permissionlessness and trustlessness is generally priority number one or number two. Of course, Adam, as we know, we've talked about this at Emblem, right? People want decentralized vaults consistently, but what it actually means to be decentralized, right? Everyone kind of thinks something different.
Bro, at the end of the day, people want to make money. Like, decentralization matters, but money matters way more. I mean, look at Blast. What do they have? $1 billion in their multisig wallet? I mean, it's like, yeah, decentralization matters. You should always lead with that. But, you know, it's close to, like Bunzi was pointing out earlier, it's getting as close to decentralized as possible. There's no perfect solutions here.
Yeah. Chris, you have something you're thinking about?
Yeah, man, just super interesting route to go. Why did you guys decide to go more towards a public good rather than kind of try and monetize it yourselves? What was the decision process behind that?
Jen, you want to take that one?
Because we're just such good people. I think,
holy shit. It's giving me Sam Altman vibes. Holy fuck. No.
All right, I'm out. As a decentralization maxi, no, but I think it's something the space needs, right? You can look at, what did Satoshi put on the first block? It was banks being bailed out. Where have we been the last year? Banks getting bailed out, centralized exchanges failing. I think people truly deserve something that's decentralized and something that they know exactly like where everything is coming from. And so, yeah, also we live in America, there's that. But in general, I think this space only gets elevated if people build in elevated ways. And when I say elevated, that means like core to where this started. And so, yeah, I think like all of us have been in agreement on like, this is what is needed and no one's doing it. We're going to do it. And I think that's really special.
Yeah. During the initial conversations at the house, and you can listen to that podcast that's pinned to the top. Everyone that was there, kind of comes from a different background with different types of beliefs. But our whole vision going into it was that we're going to build it decentralized, or we're not going to do it. We don't want this central kind of product, although, there is degrees to it. If you look kind of throughout the crypto space and you see these crypto teams that have 9 co-founders, 10 co-founders, right? Founding members, initial members, they all end up failing, or they all end up breaking up, right? I guess the biggest example would
Ethereum, man. Ethereum.
I was going to say, that's what I was just about to say. The biggest example is Ethereum with 9 co-founders, and us, we're more contributors. This is more of a discovery than it is anything else, but you use that as an example, right? They all broke up, right? Everyone always goes and does their own thing. Anytime there's privatization, there definitely gets some animosity, of course, when capital is kind of introduced. But, kind of moving through this, we did explore, all different possibilities of how you can kind of form this. But this felt like the most honest way. And also kind of with the thought in mind that there's a lot of capital on Bitcoin, but a lot of that capital is not being moved unless first the users who own that kind of OG Bitcoin feel like it satisfies their degree of permissionless and trustlessness. as we've seen with some of the other swaps that have popped up so far, it does not appear that they have been able to, that they've been attractive to that capital. And so we're hoping that this may supplement some of that. And also this idea of like putting your Bitcoin to work has existed, but it's only existed really on taking your Bitcoin, wrapping it, going to Ethereum, and then putting it to work there. Here, we believe that is a possibility. And this, from at least from my exploration of seeing, this is the only Bitcoin to BRC20 swap on L1. So also satisfies that degree of L1. So a lot of moving parts, but as governance is introduced, I'm pretty sure some things will change as the community thinks about it. So going here to the main page, at the very top right of the corner, you see 3 or 4 different drop downs that are different ways to get test Bitcoin. As you can see with Jen's different tutorials, there's a whole scheme behind this. There's some faucets. It's a little bit complicated. So you can follow one of these 4 links and go to Jen's tutorials, and you'll be able to get some test Bitcoin. It's just TBTC. So once you go in and you hit enter, this will take you directly to the Omnisat page, and you'll be met with a bunch of different options: swaps, pool, governance, right? And then a little bit of the swap module, but you're going to want to come in and connect. We started with Unisat. There is Xverse, and then oil is an option. Andrew, would you like to explain what oil is for those who maybe are not familiar?
Absolutely. So, oil is looking to create a Bitcoin wallet to help, I think, accelerate essentially use on Bitcoin and DeFi on Bitcoin. And what they're trying to do is take a lot of the signing screens and a lot of the manual process that you need to put into actually interacting with Bitcoin and automating a lot of that, and taking a lot of that and creating a product that's just like seamless and bulletproof and fast and whatnot. So oil has been absolutely so instrumental to getting Omnisat out, because they're building this thing. This is a little alpha. They're building this thing called Sandshrew, which is like an RPC API that it takes all the RPCs and puts them into one API RPC. And then they're also going to do like an indexer as a service where you'll be able to write your indexing logic in. It was Lewis scripts, but I think they're moving towards WebAssembly. So you can probably write it in like any language and then compile to WebAssembly and then execute, and you'll be able to like single button click deploy indexers to like a number of different cloud providers and stuff. So they've been like so helpful to getting Omnisat out. And another thing that they're going to start rolling out, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but who knows? Who knows?
Say it.
So Omnisat will be built into oil, so you'll be able to literally use Omnisat in the wallet, which could really help the entire ecosystem.
That to me is like a huge game changer. So if you're familiar, right, with MetaMask, there's an internal swap tool in MetaMask. I know a lot of people do not use that, but this is what oil plans to do with Omnisat to really bring some competition. I really think that's just it cuts out so much friction if you have that built directly into the wallet, like so much. It's really exciting. So here at the swap tool, we'll start with swaps, then we'll go to pools, we'll end with governance. You can see up here at the top that my wallet is signed in. The fact that it has the T before it shows that it's on test. It means test Bitcoin. At the bottom, you see your wallet balance and then the sats per VByte. Obviously, we're on testnet, so 1 sat for VByte. It's pretty quick. Remember the days of cheap and instant Bitcoin transactions. So it'll be presented here. There's a max button. So if you hit max, it'll show how much sat I will get on the other side here. It shows here insufficient sats, probably because I'm trying to purchase too much. You can also click down here. There is just sat that is available at this time. Sat is just a token that we created for the simplicity and the sake of testing. But I will go down here and I'll type in 0.01 Bitcoin, and we will initiate a swap after it tells me how much I can receive. And so here you can see 0 price impact. If you're familiar with swapping, right, this is the equivalent of slippage, but here on Bitcoin, it means that there is enough liquidity in the LP pool to where you will not lose that arbitrage, which generally on Ethereum happens with MEV, if you understand that. But Andrew, if you want to talk through and explain what's happening here after I hit initiate swap, because it also says here, click button to initiate the needed transfer inscription for swap. So can you explain that as this is pushed through?
Absolutely. Okay, so in order for you to transfer BRCs, you need to inscribe a transfer inscription back to the wallet who has the balance. After that happens, you take that transfer inscription and you can send it to whomever. So that's essentially what's happening here. In our case, you're going from Bitcoin to underscore sat, which is it's paired to sats like the normal BRC 20 that you know and love. And then so what it's doing is, in our case, you're going Bitcoin to sat. So then you're funding an inscriber address for the router to then inscribe that number of sats to you. So you're paying an inscriber address, and then we come back, we tell the system, hey, here's my commit transaction. I need you to now assemble a swap for me. It returns the call data for that. We go, we take it, we sign it, which is waiting on a signature for you there, Jake.
And so there's a there's a second signature. I'm gonna click sign here, but just explain what the second signature is required for.
The second signature, so we're essentially returning to the user the partially signed Bitcoin. So the second signature, that's the actual swap. And what you're doing is you're approving the transfer of the asset that you've just inscribed, but in this case, it's just Bitcoin. So you're just approving the Bitcoin to be sent to the router. And then so you sign it, and then you pass it back to the router. The router sees that, and then what it does is it executes on its inscription, its transfer inscription, and then sends that to the network, and then signs its inputs, and then broadcasts the swap finally to the network and returns the swap ID, and then you swap.
So here in this example, right, it's 1 sat per VByte, so it's pretty consistent. Although I did pull up the mempool transaction, it shows that it's unconfirmed. The ETA will be in 6 minutes, right? We're on testnet though, where things are much faster. What happens though if the sats per VByte is 100 or 200 or 300? Where if Omnisat, if when it's adopted, will definitely be a component of the increasing miner fee rate moving forward.
It definitely will. There's no way around that. It will be expensive, dependent on what the mempool fees are at that moment. There is also there's an issue with BRC20s, and that's essentially that you can pretty much front run these swaps. So like, let's say you were going to go transfer from a BRC to a BRC or BRC to Bitcoin. You could potentially execute a swap, send it to mempool, and then send another transfer inscription to yourself, but juice the gas, and then essentially front run the transaction, which would invalidate that swap that you just given to the router. Anyways, the idea is to then, I like to call it, we're gonna break up the account, where you're gonna come in and then click a button and it'll tell you, okay, so how many bricks are you trying to make? So you're gonna take your entire BRC, not entire, but part of your BRC20 balance, or the entirety of your BRC20 balance, and create bricks of transfers. So in the way that'll work is the initial transaction that will be coming in will be those 2 transactions being passed back to the inscriber address, along with another UTXO, which will be used to pay for the initial inscription fee. And then this way, because with child pays for parent, I don't know if you guys know about that. It's like these transactions are literally blocked together, and you can have one transaction. If the first transaction you're paying 100 sats per VByte, and then the next transaction you're only paying 1 sat per VByte, that entire block of transactions would average out to 50. sats per vbyte, because it would take what you had put in initially and then average out the sats per vbyte for the rest of that transaction. So with the brick method, you'd be able to submit swaps to the mempool at like a really, really slow rate, and there's no way to front run that. So yeah.
Okay, so this system
bricks.
basically stops the idea of like front running transaction. You don't think front running will be an issue with this swap tool?
With the bricks method, no, it won't be.
That is music to my ears, right? We're
Tell
already
you what,
seeing
it's as complicated as I fully expected it to be, which my smooth brain begins smoking when I hear this stuff. I'm like, okay, is it gonna work? This is why I stay away from DeFi, man. Holy smacks. Sounds amazing.
Well, Adam, here, let me ask you, right? You're aware of DeFi, you don't like to participate, but from the current models that exist, BRC20 to BRC20 is not as attractive. But if you could just pop in Bitcoin and swap for BRC20, is that something that sounds a little bit more appealing?
Yes, anything that removes steps to the process of me acquiring something is a big deal. And I'll give you a perfect example. We heard that inscriptions were happening on Solana. I had a Solana wallet from, I don't even know when. I found the seed phrase, I imported, I get in there, and I'm like, shoot, how do I get some SOL? And the Phantom wallet has an ability to send in ETH, because they have Phantom has an ETH wallet within it, and then swap right within the wallet to SOL. And I don't know how it happened. I frankly don't care how it happens, right? But that I was able to get SOL in, under a minute. Like, that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants an invisible layer where I just get what I want immediately. Like, so anything you guys can do to do that, like, dude, it's huge. Of course, 100%.
Absolutely. So now I've gone back to the main screen. The swap was successful. Let me check. Yeah. So if you go over here, we can now see 2 confirmations. You can see it on mempool.space for testnet. So now the SAT has been deposited. We'll go over to pools, right? Because generally what you're going to want to do, if this is your first time experiencing this, unless you have BRC20s already in your wallet, you're going to want to swap. So we're going to go over to pools, and you're going to press the add liquidity button, right? And so then you'll be presented with a few options. You'll see where it says add liquidity, create a new pool, or create a liquidity position on an existing pool. And you see the V2, and then there's a V3, but you can only click on V2. V2 is what I would say most people who participate in DeFi are familiar with the AMM model. V3 is a new but similar type of LP provision, which we are looking to add. But for the sake of simplicity, we're going to start with the V2 model here. So you're going to go in and you're going to select the add liquidity. We're going to choose BTC and SAT. Andrew, does it matter what order I place it in? Does it have to be BTCSat? Can it be SAT BTC, etc.?
No, it shouldn't. At one point it was. You asked that question because it screwed it up. Yeah, because we had initially positioned the system to be on mainnet, and so we were really we wanted to slow roll it. So we were just trying to make sure that it was, when you're putting in liquidity, it was just Bitcoin to a BRC pair. But I've since ripped all that plumbing out, and it shouldn't matter. But I have a bunch of changes that we'll be pushing today. That if it does matter, it won't matter here soon. And we are going to be pushing token pair, I think, here in a little bit. So
alpha for alpha.
I mean, is the idea here that I'm going to be able to swap any BRC20 for any other BRC20? Is that that there are going to be like dozens or hundreds?
As long as there's liquidity.
Yeah.
As long as there's liquidity for it.
There will be a governance. There will be a governance model over what token pairs are added. Right? You don't, at least from what I've learned with the rollout of AMMs and swaps, you don't want to have too many options in the beginning, because then the liquidity becomes diluted. It's spread too thin, and therefore no one can swap. So you generally want to start with those that either have the highest value or the most active community to ensure that they're contributing to the LP. That's why we started with 1, because if we started with 10, right, there'd be way too many issues. So we're really trying to mimic this to exactly what the rollout will be like on mainnet, so people are really familiarized with it. There's so many moving parts, and
oh my god, I can't imagine.
And
so is it going to be BTC Ordi first, or what's going to be the first one rolled out?
So I think that really what Jake just said about governance is the importance, and just want to like flag to get involved in conversation on layer 1 foundation, because at the end of the day, like, we might have all sat in a house together and discussed this idea in the beginning, but anyone can be as involved as they want to be. And so, yeah, a lot of these questions are hopefully answered by the community. And
yeah, we've had a handful, a lot of people reach out that want to contribute in different capacities. Some individuals, and we'll go to the governance board after we're done here. Some individuals want to integrate Omnisat into their platform. Some users want to help set up events. Some people just want to LP provide. So really, whatever your strength is, there definitely is a place for you here. So we'll discuss that in a little bit. But going back to adding liquidity, you just hit continue, right? There's a few different fee models. You can only just choose general. Again, these are a little bit more of the advanced ones that will probably be rolled out either later or alongside the V3. And here you're presented with the option. You could see BTCSat. These are the 2 pairs that you chose. It shows you the amount that you have here with Bitcoin and also with Sats. So I'm just going to go in. I'm just going to type a random number for the sake of simplicity here. Do I have an insignificant value? Here, let's see. I swapped.
Yeah, Sats doesn't work. Sats doesn't work that much, and that's to go back. That's why Ordi's kind of tough, because Ordi's worth so much, and we can only get so much test BTC out of these faucets that it kind of made things a little bit, not as fun, right? Because you weren't getting as much.
Agreed. So I just know because I swapped 0.01, so I typed in 0.005 BTC. You can see the quote is $200, and then it matches at 200 on each side. So if you're not familiar with LP, this means you are depositing into the LP pool the equivalent of $417 here, because you're depositing both. So I'm going to go ahead and hit add liquidity. You'll be presented with a signed transaction, and you hit sign. And Andrew, so what's going on here if you want to give a little bit of an overview?
Yeah, totally. So you're depositing, in this case, Bitcoin and Sats. And like I said earlier, in order for you to transfer the value of any BRC20, you need a transfer inscription that needs to be sent to the wallet who's doing the transferring or who has the balance. So in that case, the first signature that you're sending is literally, all right, I'm going to inscribe this transfer. And then after that happens, you get back your transaction ID, and then we go and we're going to create another PSBT for you to sign and broadcast.
Correct. And now I'm presented with a second signed transaction. So I'm going to go here, hit sign. Now it says revealing, and just walk us through the final part of this.
Cool. So now the AtLP endpoint returned to you a PSBT in it. And what it has in it is enough Bitcoin or the Bitcoin that covers the amount for the pair. And then it has the transfer inscription that was part of the first signature. So then you're literally taking that and you're signing that transaction, broadcasting it to the mempool, and then you are making a call to our API to then pass that transaction ID in, and then we give you their shares at the moment, but we'll probably have a different name for them. But it adds your liquidity to the LP, and then you'll start earning fees as people start swapping.
One question here is, obviously we all know how expensive Bitcoin is with the fees and stuff like that. Do you guys foresee say it was already at the beginning, or actually just say a cheaper coin, whatever, it's Sats at the beginning. Do you foresee, because of the fees, you're going to have to actually do a relatively large block for these sort of transactions to make sense, so it doesn't get eaten up by the fee structure?
For sure. And then also, there's probably people that are going to try to remove liquidity when they don't even have 546 sats that they've earned. And so that's probably going to, raise issues because miners aren't going to pick up transactions that are below the dust limit for an input. So yeah, all things that are on the radar. So.
Well, this is gonna be fun to watch, man. I can't wait for this to go live, man. Because the degens, dude, they're smart people out there who will be able to figure this out, game it. There's gonna be all sorts of interesting stuff take place.
So Street Smarts presents on on the live stream says our fees are prorated ? Say I drop 50 billion sats. Andrew, do you have a response to that?
Prorated in what sense? I don't know, Jake, you know DeFi better than I do.
Yeah, I think he again needs a little bit more explanation because prorated could depend on the different types of models for LPs. But if you're just talking about fees, if you look at the screen here, it says 0.1%. So on testnet, the fees are 0.1%. And yes, your contribution to the liquidity pool is the share of that 0.1% that you get. So here in this case, right, if I deposited $431 to this pool and the pool liquidity is 10,000, again, this is just arbitrary numbers, then I will be getting 4.3% of the 0.1% of the fees that are traded, if that makes sense. And so here
another thing that we built into the LP Street Smarts is based on the price impact of the quote. You pay out more fees for like getting deeper into the pool. So I guess, is that what prorated would be?
Yeah. I think it's like, does it adjust? Do the fees adjust as there's liquidity removed or added to your position or other positions?
They would be, right, because as you were to extract fees and your liquidity, your shares of the fee or the pool would go down, and then all of the shares of the whole pool, adjust to deal with something like that.
Yep. It's very, very exciting. So once your LP position's done, right, you're presented with this cool, awesome dashboard, which I believe also there will be new features that are rolled out. And here, once you're on the screen, you have a few options. You can either increase your liquidity, you can add another position, you can remove it as well. And Andrew, you said that as of this morning, this was functional, correct? Should we give it a try?
Give it a shot. Yep. It'll add it to a queue because I know Jason did that and it worked for him. Let's see, we're queued up. So you get it. So your request gets added to, pretty much gets in line. And then what happens is then the system takes that and then ensures that it's not going to screw up. Oh, look at that. View withdrawal.
Here we go.
Check it out.
So view withdrawal.
Yeah.
So we're going to click this here and we're going over to the mempool. So you can see it's going to process in about 6 minutes. So here, right, you could tell that the transaction's been initiated because the dashboard disappeared, and then it says here that your SAT and BTC is at 0. It's been zeroed out, which means that it is in the pool, which is being withdrawn. So once it is successfully withdrawn, Andrew, what happens then? Do I get the fees that I've earned alongside that? And is the SAT and BTC in this case, is it just deposited to my wallet? Do I need to do anything else after I'm presented with this screen?
No, back into your wallet. And you get all the fees and all the liquidity. Well, because it's not going to be the exact liquidity because that's how LP works, right? But it's going to be, whatever it is, whatever the shares of the pool are, plus the fees that you had generated.
Yeah, this is super, super cool. It's going to be super exciting, especially that this is on Layer 1 mainnet. And so we just walked you guys through. For those that are on Spaces, we're doing the live tutorial. It's pinned to the top if you want to follow along or rewatch. We've gone through the swap module or the swap component, the pools. We added liquidity, we removed liquidity. And then up here at the top for the third, there is governance, which is one of the emerging spots and one of the cool features of it Jen, would you like to cover a little bit of the governance of what we're seeing here on the Layer 1 Foundation? Who's the Layer 1 Foundation? And yeah, just kind of the whole vision behind it.
Yeah, I mean, right now, and I want to be clear, there's not like a specific governance model, but Layer 1 Foundation is for all of the meta protocols and discussion around BRC20s. And so it's not just us, but we do have so much amazing conversation. And so there's an amazing intro post from Hath that we're on right now. And then, yeah, we have some other categories as well. And truly, like, we've had conversation across the board, anything from people requesting testnet Bitcoin to talking about different like coins and BRC20s that they want to be involved. So really, like, come have conversation there, right? A lot of people asked about Xverse day one when we only had Unisat, and the next day Xverse was on testnet. So yeah, we're definitely reading it, and there's room for anyone to be as involved as they want to. And I hope that people really find things that they're passionate about, because there's so many amazing, brilliant people involved already, and the more the merrier.
Yep. And when you go here, when you go here, you could see right now there's 4 different forums. We'll be adding more. So kind of stepping back for a little bit, the forum and the partnership with the Layer 1 Foundation, which was founded by Domo, the creator of BRC20. We've been working really close with them in this collaboration where the discussions will be held on Layer 1 Foundation. Right now, I believe only the team can add, can post new forums, but once we're in the mainnet, any user will be able to contribute any type of forum that they want. Right now, the 3 outside of the welcome is just testnet feedback. So just what did you like about it? What did you hate? Any recommendations? Testnet support. So for those that are new to testnet and need some additional advice. And then collaborations, integrations, and partnerships that we added this yesterday, because we did have a few people reach out on the discussion and also privately. So you could see here, Dante, who runs RuneX, which is a platform that's going to support Casey's runes when it's launched. He proposes here that they want to use and utilize the Omnisat router to be supported on RuneX. And so this is just, this is a good example of a cool opportunity. I told him here, as I responded, right, it's good to to become familiarized with the platform, and that once the on-chain proposals are live, this is the component that nobody can use yet. It'd be similar to some of the proposals that you see in some of the other ecosystems. He can submit this to the on-chain proposal, which then everybody will vote on based off of another feature that is going to be coming to the governance down the road. But the whole goal here is, while on testnet, to become familiarized with the forum discussion, and also, being able to locate or identify new core contributors who are going to want to come in and really take ownership over this, that may satisfy their other Bitcoin fungible meta protocol standard, right? Or if you're a trader or a liquidity provider. So this will be up, and we really, really encourage everybody to participate on it moving forward. Hath, maybe you'd be the great person to answer this. When it comes to supporting other meta protocols like runes, as Dante suggested, is Omnisat capable of doing that? Is it built in? And then also, what about things like TAP or Pipe or BRC 100 or CBRC and all of these other ones that are coming? Can Omnisat support those?
Well, you can milk anything with nipples, Greg. No, no, I mean, absolutely, as long as it's UTXO based, and UTXO based. But then I'll go back to what I was saying earlier in the show, where it's just data. We need the data. If the data is there, we can do it. No questions.
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of people actually want, is to support all of them. It seems like there is going to be no slowdown in terms of the amount of fungible tokens that are coming to Bitcoin. Bunzi, I'll present this to you then. You know, you've been the front guy. You've been on all the shows. People are loving you. You're memeing. What do you expect from Omnisat over the next maybe 2 to 3 weeks? Give a little bit of people some sort of expectation, some sort of guidance of what we're looking for and what to expect.
Just memes, dude. That's all I do. So,
Bunzi, get it done, man.
Man, the myth,
Get
the
it
most.
done.
what?
The
Yeah,
man-
no, I mean, the concept here is like, you know, people that can ship are going to ship, and people on the team who can deliver are going to continue doing that. And, you know, we're hoping to grow that and get more contributors and have this be, you know, for the people, by the people. I know it seems, you know, kind of very optimistic, and it's not the way it's designed. Like our current ecosystem, no one likes the government, but we haven't figured out a better way. So, you know, we are going to use these voting mechanisms. We are going to marry technology, immutable technologies, with, you know, what we're doing. Ethos here is similar to any other. You mentioned Blast and all these things. Like, the reason they do all this stuff is to get users. Like, the goal here is to get more users to ordinals, because like without more users, more protocols, liquidity, activity, this thing that we love is, you know, it could be just this small circle of us trading Pokemon cards. Like, no, we want people with liquidity. We want fungible tokens. I mean, work towards a stable coin on top of Bitcoin. Like, if we want to maintain Bitcoin and like the network that we participate in, yeah, and to your point, Adam, yes, like people want to make money. We all work jobs, we all do these things, and people are here to LARP and make money on Bitcoin. I'm one of them. You know, I still don't know everything. Like, I'm still learning every day. It's like, but the more that we truly decentralize this thing and get more users, and the happenings aren't going to stop. So unless we start using this network, it's not going to be, you know, what Satoshi planned. I mean, his adoption rate and the way that he does the happenings and the emissions makes a lot of sense, but I don't know. These laser eyes better start buying a lot of coffee with Bitcoin to keep these. So yeah, I mean, similar to, let's think Uniswap for a second. That was the same premise. Like, Ethereum funded Unilabs to build tooling on top of the network to get users, and we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just putting in the time, you know, and, you know, really just trying to lead with, you know, our software, and lead with what we're building. And like, people use the word centralized and all this stuff all the time, dude. If we're solving for that, but at the same time, use whatever platform you want. That's what's cool. Is like, but like, just know that our philosophy is always moving towards that. And I believe the most decentralized, even at this moment. Unisats, they're the only ones indexing their modules. If you don't think that's centralization, then you should really broaden your, you know, thought process of what decentralization is. It's not just a wallet. Like, every smart contract has one input-output address. So that's the same concept. So we need a way to route these things. And using a primitive network like Bitcoin, there's clever ways we can start to do that. But people have proven, like, the data's in. Layer 2s, we don't have a scalability problem yet. We have a user problem. Like, we don't have enough people using these networks. We don't need to silo all these different, oh, look, we can do this super fast. You know what else I can do fast? Is send an email. Like, that happens immediately. Like, you know, it's like, but the trade-off is massive. Like it is. And so my belief is just, we're just going to keep building it. And if you don't like it, help us make it better. Like if you have that solution, like, get in layer 1 foundation. I mean, and then the big thing that's, I think, really cool is on-chain governance. Like, we use this broken BIP system when now we can inscribe and have validation of people's opinions. And not just like, I clicked yes, dude, I could hack someone's like form login and get, like, you know, but that can't exist with, if you can't protect your keys, fuck your vote anyways. So it's like, so that's kind of like, I think the zoomed out ethos of like the why, because don't get us like, we all need to make money. Like, this isn't like, we're not like some amazing charity that wants to change the world, but with the way that we're structuring it, this can happen now with DAOs, like writing proposals of like, hey guys, I want to add a block explorer. Protocol owned liquidity could be a very, very viable thing. So we're going into no man's land, but I'm going into it very confidently. Just knowing that we have the primitives, we've seen what works, we've seen what hasn't, and we have all those KPIs from Ethereum to reference. So we have a lot more data now. We have a lot better technologies, and mainly now we have the op return we can inscribe on Bitcoin. So yeah.
So when's the ETA for live on mainnet?
When
And when roadmap? And when?
No, seriously, we built this on mainnet. Like, we worked in reverse, but we wanted to put it on testnet for these reasons. Is like, if we wanted market share, we could have completely got it, made a new token standard, completely been like, hey guys, we're gonna make a token, but no, like, we built it all, put it on testnet to ensure that we made a product that is going to help the ecosystem, not enter it and get, because every time you enter a project and it sucks and it rugs, you're losing users, you're losing potential contributors, people paying fees. So like, yeah, I mean, I just don't see, hopefully we set an example and more people use testnet. But I mean, I've just seen so many people get wrecked, and then all the projects are just like, well, ordinals is so new, like we're still learning. And I just don't think that's a reasonable excuse anymore now that we have a whole testnet network.
And the other thing
You
too,
didn't give it time, bro. You didn't give it time. You just
Dude, that's exactly
look, we don't have time. What is time? It doesn't exist.
I guess what I was getting at was, we built it on mainnet, so everything you're feeling, and right now, testnet is a carbon copy. The speed, nothing's going to change. The blocks play at the same time. The main thing is just finalizing the multisig and just fine tuning. I mean, we're in no rush. I mean, I'd much rather release a sustainable product than capitalizing on being the first. So, I mean, but to answer your question, probably 7 days and 3 hours.
And something too with learning, right? I know, like, this is a lot of people. This was the first time they set up a wallet on Bitcoin, was because of testnet, right? Like, we are aware of the barriers to entry. And I think we also talk about like DeFi, and, you can really look at the numbers, and like, as we have more and more people testing it and roll out a few more futures, right? Like, understanding what happens and where all the numbers are going. And I think a lot of people don't always get that chance. They're just told, DeFi, do it. We're like, all of this stuff, if you don't understand it, there's a lot of opportunity to get hurt. And so I can't believe how many people have played around on testnet. It's amazing. But really, we want to responsibly bring people into this.
Yeah, the numbers as of Monday, so that was 3 days ago at the time of this recording, and maybe Hath has more updated numbers. It was approaching 1,000 swaps that had happened, approaching 3,000 unique visitors, and over 11,000 site visits. That was also, like I said, 3 days ago, so it could be much, much higher. From what I hear, those are insane numbers for testnet on Bitcoin, right? There's no kind of financial incentive. So the interest here is real. And people are participating to a degree on testnet that, from what other people are telling us, has not been seen before. So it's a really exciting time. One other underrated feature, and then I'll let Bunzi go ahead, is you mentioned the on-chain proposals. Underrated feature, one of my favorites, is that you're actually inscribing the proposal into Bitcoin as an inscription. So all of the proposals that will be posted will be on-chain, and they'll be there forever. So that will be good for the progress of Bitcoin, because you could see what your predecessors have put on to then build, right? Will Omnisat succeed? Could fail too, right? We don't really know. But the fact that the history and the provenance of that progression will be on chain, to me, is a massive net benefit to the entire
It would be
ecosystem.
so cool to see, man. All the stupid ideas there forever on the blockchain, man. It's going to be interesting. I'm really excited to see how you guys handle governance, because I know it's so difficult, very, very difficult to do. We've seen it again and again with DAOs, just like, ugh, it gets really ugly, can get really ugly really fast. So
how's Bitcoin ran?
yeah, well, I think that in a lot of ways, having a core group of like contributors who basically
Whoa, say that again for the people in the back.
Yeah.
a core group like you guys who yes, you're moved by governance, but it's not the mob doesn't control things. So the mob can vote for stuff and push stuff forward, but at the end of the day, you still have a core group who kind of makes the final call. Something along that line is
well, the thinking there is like most software and any products at large, the core contributors have the best idea of what it should be short term. Then the community gets it, and then they ask for features, they ask for updates. And the way we've designed it is like, if this gets adoption, like the community is going to own it. Like the math is simple. Like if there's more users than core contribute, like the weighting or whatever, how the voting happens, that's how it's going to operate. Very similar to the bid system. And if there's enough, and then there's always the hard fork. It's open source, so it's like it's really, it's difficult. I'm not trying to downplay it, but I just feel like people just give up on it often because it's hard and like they don't like it. But that it's funny. People say DAOs don't work, but Bitcoin is still working. So I find that pretty interesting.
On-chain accountability is something new, right? If all the proposals are being written into the blockchain, that is some sort of
very cool.
on-chain accountability. It's very, very exciting. Guys, I'm glad that we could do this. The math is simple. Jen says, Street Smarts says that there's no cabal. He also did ask one question. Are there limits to price impacts? Hath, I don't know if you're there. Do you know if there's a limit to the slippage, or can you literally just lose 99% if you don't know how to do it?
Dude, you can lose it all. Yeah. No, I mean, we're still in the process of working through LP and the numbers and the math there. But as it stands right now, like I executed a swap the other day where it was like 100% impact. But I mean, this is why it's a public good, and this is why we're looking to you guys to come and join in and give us a piece of your mind so that we can build the best public tool. That's what it is. So
that's what it is, man. Well, I'm glad we got to do this. We walked through the entire Omnisat experience. As you could see, testnet is a carbon copy of a Bitcoin. So what happens on testnet should exactly happen on Bitcoin mainnet. The only difference is the increase in sats per VBytes and maybe just a little bit more activity. I appreciate Jen, Hath, Bunzi. Appreciate you guys for coming on and really sharing this. And also everyone who went and listened to this and has participated in mainnet. If you're one of the 3,000 visitors, you are changing history on Bitcoin itself. For those of you that don't know, Adam, myself, and Bunzi and Chris. I don't know if Chris is still here. Is Chris still here? Yeah. We're hosting this show Tuesday through Thursday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, covering everything Bitcoin, inscriptions, multi-chain, collecting, all of those conversations that seem to be now in the forefront, which last year, right, everyone kind of scoffed at, now back into the center. Make sure you guys follow everyone on stage, follow Omnisat, go check out Jen's tutorial, shoot any of us a DM, participate in governance on Omnisat. And, you know, maybe sometime soon you'll see a few new features, and then eventually to mainnet, where we absolutely change the game. Appreciate everyone for coming, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We will see you on Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, adios.